This is Brad A. Milford with the Unlimited Business Wisdom Podcast, where leaders, seasoned entrepreneurs, and business owners share their wisdom. It's straight to the point to respect people's time, and because we know knowledge and wisdom turn to business possibility, and possibility mixed with support and action become reality. In this podcast, we discuss leadership, sales, marketing, operations, team development, quality, and finance to drive sustainable results and everlasting impact to make the world a better place. Thanks for joining us.
Brad, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you on the Unlimited Business Wisdom Podcast. Welcome.
Welcome is a good thing. I feel that way.
Awesome. Brad, if you'd be, well, first, I love your name. Got to say that just right from the start. Let's get that right out of the way, right? Brad, would you be willing to share a little bit about who you are and what you do?
So being in the coaching business, well, we started the business coaching business now 29 years ago, ActionCOACH. I'm an entrepreneur, basically. I buy and sell companies. That's what I do. I fell into teaching by accident and writing books. I think my 18th book just went to the printer 3 days ago. So write, teach, and run companies. Father of 5. My wife and I have 5 kids. So we live here in Las Vegas. I'm Australian, obviously. She's from Massachusetts. So it's like we had to end up living somewhere in America, and the only city fun enough for an Australian is Las Vegas. So there you go. That's the short version. But most people know me for ActionCOACH because what's it now? We've got about 1,100 offices in 83 countries. So it's pretty big. The book's pretty well known. Several of them bestsellers, international bestsellers. So yeah, I keep writing, I keep teaching, I keep doing. So
keep creating impact. I love it. I should have started the podcast by saying good day. Right?
Yeah, a lot of Americans do try and say good day, but it just doesn't quite. Even my kids, they say they're Americans, but really they're Americans. They've lived here since forever, basically. So
it just doesn't come out the same. I'm glad to hear you say it. Brad, I love it. And having 5 kids, I love that you folded that in there right in the beginning. It's so important. Like the whole essence of why we do what we do, right? We create lots of impact, writing and teaching and coaching. 18 books. Congratulations on 18 books. That's a feat in of itself. And wow, what a great coaching program that you offer. So we'll get to that on the back end. But Brad, would you be willing to share what's the best thing about, all these things that we do, being in business? Like, what's the best thing about being in business for you?
Probably a few things. The impact, the level of impact, because obviously what we do creates jobs. What we do creates economic impact. So, that ability to do that, to build people, because I think building a business is you build people, they build the business. My definition of a business is a commercial, profitable enterprise that works without you. So, if I have to be there, it's not a business, it's a job, and I work for an idiot. That's the simplest way I can put that. When I first started in business, well, I'm 51 today, so 30, I had my first business when I was 15 and stuff. So I thought the job of the business owner was to be the hardest working person in the room. And it took me a while to learn that hustle and grind is the new stupid. Because what I did by working so hard, and I wore it as a badge of honor, mate. I really thought, I'm working 6 days a week. I worked 16 hour days. I sleep in my office. Like I was that guy. And eventually I woke up and realized if I keep doing this is not fun. This is not enjoyable. And business is supposed to be fun. If it's not fun, you're doing something wrong. So what I worked out though, that my hard work covered up the fact there were inefficiencies in my business. My working so hard covered up the fact that our marketing wasn't working. I was just out there, hitting the pavement, making sales type thing. My hard work covered up the fact that some of my team were really not good at their job. I was doing their job for them, sort of thing. So if I look at the best thing, I currently have major shareholdings or full ownership of 9 companies, in the middle of negotiating for number 10. I work 2 days a week running those companies, Tuesdays and Thursdays. And, people often ask, how do you do that? Well, I build great CEOs who run great companies. I don't want to be the CEO. I want to be the chairman. And my job as chairman is to build CEOs who build people who build companies.
Well said, Brad. I wouldn't expect anything less from you, but really, truly well said. And I love that you jumped right in there. And so I'm that guy too, or I was that guy, right? And in full transparency, I totally resonate with what you said, and I totally relate. And so the people listening and watching, I really want to highlight and showcase what you just said. If you got a badge of honor and you're saying like, I work 7 days a week, or I moved from my 9 to 5 to my 24/7, and you're proud about that, you're off the mark, right? I did that for way too many years. So I totally relate to what you were saying. I wasn't I was very successful financially, right? But I didn't do the right things with it. And I didn't have the right mindset. And so what you speak to is really important. And so if you're listening and watching, I really want to call that out. Like, you want to work yourself out of the business, not be the linchpin of the business. And yet some people never even think about it or never were taught. So great points, Brad. Appreciate it. Let's switch to a fun question. This is one of my favorite questions, honestly, as an integrator. Like, that's who I am at the core. I'm a builder, like you mentioned before. And so I love this question. It's designed, more towards systems and whatnot. But like, we truly hear from people that they're getting so much business that sometimes that situation, it causes some feelings of overwhelm or, within that chaos, right? Would you be willing to share your thoughts on that, Brett?
Yeah, look, I mean, obviously, if you go back to when, blitz scaling became a thing, and it was like, you want speed of growth over control, that's one thing. Now, if you're getting more business than you can handle and it's creating chaos, I believe there was probably chaos to begin with. And the extra business is just showcasing what is actually coming up. And so when I'll give you a simple example. I was with a gentleman who owns his own business, and he was telling me, my people don't seem to perform consistently, Brad. I said, well, good. Show me the checklist that they have to follow in their job. And he said, what do you mean the checklist? I said, well, your pilot has a checklist before you get on a plane. How often do you want the pilot to follow the checklist? He's like, well, 100% of the time. I said, good. So if you want your people to perform 100% of the time, you kind of want them to follow the checklist type thing. But if I look at my 17th book called Pulling Profits Out of a Hat, we worked through the 5 disciplines of exponential growth companies. And one of them is that of execution. Now, execution comes down to 3 main things. And the first of the main things is management. In this day and age, I'm not sure where it happened. I think it was somewhere in the 90s. Management became a dirty word. It was definitely by the 2000s, people like, oh, you don't want to be a manager, you want to be a leader. And that's just dumb. You need to have both. Management is a systemic approach to running the business. Management is about competency and productivity. If you break it down to 2 things, management is competency and productivity. Leadership, on the other hand, is also about 2 things, passion and focus. But you've got to build both. A person who has no competency means there's a lack of management or bad management. If there's lack of productivity, it's a lack of management, that sort of thing. So we look at building managers first and foremost, and that is the system of meetings, systems of reports, and it's a systemic approach. If you think of it as management as a system and leadership as an art form, I guess that's probably the simplest way to delineate the 2. So first of all, you got to get management right for execution. The second thing is you got to have planning. And when I talk to a business person, I ask them, well, show me your plan for today. And they're like, what do you mean? I said, well, show me your plan for today. What was your plan for today? Well, here's my calendar, or here's my diary. He said, oh, okay. So when did you plan out what you were going to do and achieve today? Well, I didn't really. See, the most important plan is the daily plan. And it doesn't matter what business I own or what business I coach, we teach them very simply, you must, at the end of every single day, end of the day, not start of the day, end of the day, write what you're doing tomorrow. Plan the next day. On Friday, plan the next week and Monday. and that daily plan, if you achieve your daily goals, then you achieve your weekly goals. You achieve your weekly, you get your monthly, and so on and so forth. But the daily plan and the daily goals are the most important ones there. I think the third thing for execution is the systemization of the business. And unfortunately, most people seem to think that systems is just writing how-to manuals, and it's much greater than that. And I wrote a book called Instant Systems that goes into the 9 key steps to systems. But systemization starts with the vision of the company. Without the vision of the company, it's impossible to systematize us going anywhere. It's like, you don't punch into Google somewhere and then start designing systems to get somewhere. You have to design systems to get you somewhere. But then when I think it's now got to be 15 years ago, we'd already coached 13,500 business owners through our systems of how we grow companies. And I wrote a book called The Business Coach, where I break it down into six levels of growing a business. And one of the more interesting things is people try and do systems a little too early. They try and do systems before they have volume. They try and do systems before the marketing works. They try and do systems before they have enough customers to break the systems, and they develop systems that work for 10 customers. And then when they get 100, they break. And it's like, for the first, in that first little phase, it's not really about systems. In that first phase, it's about finding your feet. Once you get some volume, then it's about systemization and stuff. So you got to be able to afford the good systems too. So you need some good marketing and sales to get you to that. So yeah, my guess is that the chaos was there to begin with. And that extra business just highlights the fact that there's some chaos.
I love it. A lot of deep value in everything you shared. And I'm in full agreement with you about the systems. I think so. I see a lot of people who are way too long, and then there's some people that try to build everything out in the beginning, right? Maybe a system of systems might be nice in the beginning, and then you're prepped. And then you're prepped for when you do need the systems, but you probably don't need much more than that. But I love what you said, about if you're in the beginning stages, let's focus on marketing and sales and bringing up the volume, right? Till you hit about, I don't know what you might have a different thought, Brad, but until you hit about $1 million, you don't really know what you're doing anyway. That's my thought.
Depends on the
or
industry.
Somewhere in that range. It does. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
Look, the first at least year, maybe 2 or 3 years in business, what you spend most of your time doing is working out what does the market want to buy. And those who are unwilling to shift to what the market wants to buy go out of business. They go into business selling, and it's the old axiom of, do something you love and you'll never work a day in your life. And that's complete BS. And that's my initials, so I'm allowed to use that term. But if you do what you love, you'll work harder than anybody else ever did. But if you sell what you love, not what the market loves, then you're going to have a tough business. Do the market research, find what the market wants first, and then worry about how you deliver that. And so that's why franchise, I think for someone going into business, their first 1, 2, or 3 businesses, they should be looking at a franchise because, simply put, that what do we sell? How do we sell it? How do we price it? What do we, all of that stuff has been worked out. And all you have to do is actually sell it and deliver it. So
brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And I support that. I know where you're coming from, but I really want to state it out loud. I really support that. I mean, if you're trying to bushwhack your way to the market and you've never been in business before, you are really pushing a rock uphill. So we know who did that. I don't want to be in that space. I know you don't either. So great, valid points. Look, I want to encourage, if you're listening and watching, Brad threw out some really important stuff, but he zipped through it like right off the top of his tongue. So if any of that bypassed, I want to encourage you to just scroll back and listen to it a second time, like actually take the information that Brad's sharing with you right now, because there's some really important tips in that. So Brad, thank you very much. Let's shift gears for a minute. This is a fun question. Who else successful like yourself, of course, ought to be on the Unlimited Wisdom podcast?
Dang, buddy, I got so many people. You know what?
Like 11,000 people that you can spit off your tongue right now, right?
If I mean, you could literally interview any one of my action coaches out there in the world. You could interview any of them. I just go with 2 of the people I chatted with earlier today. Scott McCain, who wrote a great book, Iconic. Scott's really strong on that. And Dr. Tony Alessandro. Tony runs the assessments 24/7 business, disc profiling, 360 profile tools. So both people that I've worked with for a long time. So there's two good examples.
I love it. I love it. Brad, I know it's probably difficult with as many things that you've accomplished, throughout your career and whatnot, but what piece of wisdom, like from your perspective right now, or maybe something that you just wish you had done like years ago, your choice, what piece of wisdom would you share with other business owners?
Yeah, so many things that we could share with them. I guess I'll go with these three. First and foremost, I touched on it earlier, but I think it's really important to understand that if you're going to build a business, what you're actually building is humans. If you build people, they build the business. You can't build a business on your own. It's not a business if it's just you. A business must operate without you. Your goal when you start a business is to finish it. And by finish it, I mean it works so you don't have to. It runs and makes money whether you get out of bed or not. That's a real business. Anything other than that is not a business. It's a job, and you might work for yourself, but that you can't classify yourself as a business owner until it runs without you. Until you can take 3 months vacation and know that you're coming back to something bigger and better, then it's hard to call yourself a business owner. The second thing I would say is that not only you have to build the people, but your marketing is the lifeblood of a business. If you don't know, like, and understand marketing, then you're going to struggle. In this day and age, the businesses have to be great at it. The competition level is getting more and more global. So we have to be better and better at what we do and better at our marketing. And I think that there's too many business people out there that think, oh, I don't need to, I just work harder. No. What you have to do, and my newest book is called Raise Your Hand Marketing. And it's this really simple concept, Brad, that instead of trying to sell someone with your marketing, just ask them to raise their hand, download this thing, shoot me a note and I'll copy you the white paper, or give us a call and we'll send you the thing. It's like, just get them to say, hey, I'm interested. And find out who they are. And it's not about your conversion rate, it's about your conversation rate. How many conversations did your social media generate today? And if your social media generated 5 likes and 2 shares and 4 comments, that's great. But it's awful. I want my social media to have people say, I'm interested, please connect with me. And so we can then start the process of helping them make a purchase decision. But the second part to that whole thing on marketing is that marketing is an investment. And what you have to look at is, how much is it costing me to buy a customer? And as long as you understand that it costs you X to buy a customer and you need to make Y out of that customer to make profitability on that customer, then you understand marketing. For every $10 out, you should get $20 back. Or for every $1 out, you should get $1.50 back, or whatever the numbers are. But it's got to be that investment side of it. And that's where learning marketing is really important. And the third thing I'll say is that your business grows to your level of incompetence. Unless you keep learning and growing, don't expect the business to keep learning and growing. The average business person that I meet, when they come to us where their business is either stagnated or their business is at a point where they're like, I'm just not sure how to get to the next level. And it might be because there's market demand saying, hey, we need you to grow. And they're like, I don't know how to, and all that sort of stuff. The number one job I see mine and my teams at ActionCOACH is to build great business people. If we can build a great business owner, if we can build a great CEO, if we can build a great salesperson, if you get, business is never going to get easier. You've got to get better at it. If that's probably the simplest way to put it. If you can keep getting better at business, then business keeps getting easier.
I pause for effect. I'm just taking it all in. No, I mean that sincerely. It sounds like joking, but I'm actually serious.
Well, buddy, I've been teaching for 30 odd years, or it'll be our 30th anniversary as a company next August. So, we're a company that's been around for a long time. So proof's in the pudding. That's that's what it is. You know, we've won pretty much every award because we're a franchise organization. We've won pretty much every award in franchising there is to win. 10 years in a row of franchisee satisfaction in the top 50 in both the US and the UK, amongst all the countries that we operate in. But I love teaching this stuff. And, you know, when people want to learn, I'm pretty happy to teach.
It shows. It actually, I can feel it. Like it resonates with me, and I can feel it coming from you. So I really appreciate that. And I want to give you a shout out. So not only are they just words, but I shared with you before we even started the podcast. I've had 2 friends who have, you know, franchised with you, and they raved about everything you deliver and all that kind of stuff. And there wasn't one negative word. And I want to actually say that to you right here on the podcast. So, you know, give you a little bit.
Yeah, we love our team. We love our team. We love building our people up. And, you know, the biggest joy for me with the whole Action Coach business is just seeing how many people we can help succeed.
Yeah. And the lessons that you deliver, especially the marketing. So you said a lot of great things, but the marketing, there are so many aspiring coaches in the market today who don't do any market research. They really don't know what the market's looking for. Their messaging is off and all that kind of stuff. And I want to encourage you, if you're listening and you're watching, you've got a couple of options to you. So one, we're going to give some information at the end of the podcast here in a moment. You know, reach out to someone that's ahead of you and don't stagnate, don't struggle. Like there's just in the world today with the internet, in the internet, you know, space that we live in, like there's just no reason to struggle like that. But I would encourage you to just maybe pull down the ego a little bit and reach out to somebody that can help you, right? Somebody like Brad.
You know, years ago, it used to be that people said, oh, look, you're failing, you need a coach. This day and age, it's not like that at all. I remember sitting with Marshall Goldsmith and we had a conversation about how, you know, in the beginning it was, oh, what is coaching? And then it got to, you know, well, oh, that person's failing. Why don't we hire them a coach? At least then when we fire them, we can say we tried everything, you know.
I remember those days.
Yeah, and then
they've come and gone.
But we're sort of at this point where it's more, oh, you don't have a coach, you know. And I think that's sort of the thing. It's people are starting to understand that if you don't have a coach, you're not serious about growing yourself or your business. I mean, if you want to be serious about growing your business, you need to have someone that you talk to on a regular basis that helps you with it. You know, that's just, I've never seen a great actor or musician or sports star, or we expect them to have coaches. Why don't we expect business people to have coaches? Let's normalize that.
I'm with you all the way on that, Brad. It's not, do you have a coach? It's I'm going to call it JIT, like we're just in time. So what do you need a coach for at the moment, right? So do you need a performance coach? Do you need a voice coach? Do you need a speaking coach? Like what kind of coach do you need, or how many can you handle all at once? Like I say that jokingly, but I say it honestly and earnestly, because the more you can handle, the faster you move, the more money you make, if that's what you're looking for, but definitely the more impact you create. So it's great stuff. Brad, I know that, I just know, right? I know that we can talk business for hours upon hours. I want to honor your time. And I believe that it's something that's important to me. I believe it is for you too. Like we work to live, not live to work. You said you only work like 2 days a week, right? So in the spirit of that statement, what's the most fun vacation you've ever had?
Dude, that's a really tough question. Every year we have amazing vacations. This last summer, we did 2 weeks in Mexico, 2 weeks in Costa Rica, had to drop the kids back here in Vegas to grandma's. We went and spent another weekend, went straight to Napa Valley for a friend's wedding for a week. And we came back, ducked off to Disney for a week, and then 2 weeks in Hawaii. So, you know, that was pretty good summer. We do that every summer. We try and take 6 to 8 weeks on the road with the kids. Next summer, we're doing Japan, Vietnam, and Thailand. Probably the most fun, actually, middle of COVID. Was June, July of in that first year of COVID. My buddy owns a big musician bus tour company. So, you know, the tour buses the musicians use, they have 8 bunk beds on the side sort of thing. And he put a post on Facebook showing all the buses sitting in his warehouse in LA. And I called him up and said, hey, can I have two of them? He's like, what do you mean? I said, I want two of your buses. I want two of your drivers. I'm going to have one for me and my wife and one for the kids and their friends. And, with 5 kids, you put them all on another bus and you go on that one. We just toured the middle of America for a month of just driving around. It was kind of fun because they're big black 45-foot Prevos. So you pull in and we would drive overnight. That's the advantage of having the drivers. So they would drive us overnight and we'd pull into the next RV place in the morning. And you'd see people's looks on their face. These 2 massive black Prevos pull up in the parking lot at 6 a.m. in the morning, and people get out of bed and they look out and they go, where did those things come from? I remember one lady in Utah coming up to us going, we were wondering if you guys are either famous or the FBI. Yeah, it was a fun trip, driving around the country with the kids and just doing all the national parks and Mount Rushmore and all up through Montana and stuff like that. So yeah, a month like that with the kids was a lot of fun in the middle of COVID. So
I love it. Thanks for sharing. I love hearing these stories, Brad. Brad, thank you for taking, I know you took a chunk out of your day. You could be doing other things, but you're here serving in your way. So thank you for taking a chunk out of your day. When somebody listens to this and they watch it and they're like, I have to reach out to this guy and get some more information, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
Any social media, you'll find Brad Sugars on there, or you can go to Amazon to get all the books, or you can go to bradsugars.com, or if you want to coach, actioncoach.com.
I love it. Brad, thanks for being on. I appreciate you.
Thanks, buddy. 2 Brads always makes it right.
This is Brad A. Milford with the Unlimited Business Wisdom Podcast, where leaders, seasoned entrepreneurs, and business owners share their wisdom. If you're looking for more on leadership, sales, marketing, or operations to drive team development, higher quality, and high-level sustainable profits, we encourage you to join the Built for Brilliance community on Facebook or reach out to us about one of our mastermind groups, coaching or consulting, or even fractional COO services. You can reach us at buildbrilliance.net/contact. We thank you for listening, for sharing the show, and appreciate your rating and reviews, as this makes more shows possible. Thanks for joining us.